the Athletics Can't Wait Jets podcast, your nonstop shop for all things Jets. Now here are your hosts, Tim McMaster and Connor Hughes. Listen safely.
Can't wait.
The season is finally here. Welcome into another episode of the Can't Wait podcast. We're streaming live on YouTube. The podcast will be up after that as well. And we will be done recording this podcast before kickoff of Thursday Night Football. The defending champion Chiefs taking on the Texans tonight. Real NFL regular season football. And we didn't get the preseason. So this is going to be amazing on an all new level that we're not used to. Tim McMaster here along with Connor Hughes, Marissa Morris. Connor, let's start there. Chiefs and Texans. And this is a game that's interesting because you think about Patrick Mahomes and the Texans and their quarterbacks and the Jets that didn't take those quarterbacks and a lot of other stuff. But just weigh in on this opener.
Yeah, it's the I made this joke on Twitter, much to the dismay of I think a lot of Jet fans, is that this is the it's the We Like Hackenberg Bowl, because this was the year right after the Jets had drafted Christian Hackenberg. This was the year that the Jets had Deshaun Watson in and they worked him out. They had Pat Mahomes in and they worked him out. And I remember writing a story. I was with the Star Ledger at the time. I remember writing a story there and basically saying, like, if the Jets are that convinced that Hackenberg's the guy, if they believe in Hackenberg, well, why are they doing all this work on other quarterbacks? You know what I mean? Like you don't have, the Giants in Eli Manning's prime working out quarterbacks that are going to go top 5, or first round talent. You don't have the Patriots when Tom Brady's in his prime working out quarterbacks that are going the first round. You're just not going to have that because when you have a quarterback, you're focused on other positions. You don't spend your time. You might evaluate quarterbacks that are going to go 3rd, 4th round as a backup, but not guys that are going to be first round picks. And the Jets were working all these guys out. Mike McCagnon was having them in to one Jets drive and working them out and seeing what they got. And I started thinking, like, you know what? They might take a quarterback. Like they might take a quarterback and this Hackenberg thing won't work out. And sure enough,
well, it didn't.
They did not do that. The Chiefs went and got Mahomes. The Jets went with oops, there goes Roomba. We're all over the place today. The Chiefs went and they got themselves Pat Mahomes. The Texans ended up with Deshaun Watson, and the Jets decided to roll with Christian Hackenberg and Bryce Petty, and that did not work out. But they did get Jamal Adams, who they ended up trading this past year. So obviously that was one of the many draft blunders that this team has made.
Yeah, for sure. A lot to get to on this episode of the show. We're going to obviously preview the Bills game coming up on Sunday. We're going to look at the division as well. And so we'll talk about the Dolphins and Patriots, where the Jets kind of stack up within the AFC East. And it's the return of the Can't Wait for our picks. And we're not picking Jets games this year unless we want to. It's our choice, but it kind of cost us last year, always having to pick those Jets games. So we'll get away from that. Before we get to all that stuff, though, definitely give us a 5-star review if you haven't on Apple or wherever you listen to the podcast, and subscribe, and that'll be easily delivered to you every time one of these podcasts comes out. Helps us out a lot in the long run as well. All right, let's get into this game on Sunday versus the Bills. Same way the Jets started a year ago. That time it was here. This time it's up in Buffalo. And we'll start with the Jets offense versus the Bills defense, Connor. And it's a situation where we got to talk about the wide receivers, which I feel like we've started like the last 5 podcasts talking about the wide receivers. But this Bills defense, 3rd in the NFL last year in rating. It's a very good defense. Tre'Davious White on the outside, Pro Bowler last year. He just got paid. There's a lot to love about the Bills defense. And if they do win this AFC East, it's probably going to be more about the defense than the offense. So how does this Jets offense, with all these injuries in the preseason, reworked offensive line that we hope is going to be much better than it was a year ago, but still their first real game together without a preseason, how did the Jets move the ball?
Yeah, well, I mean, you kind of made reference to it. We keep talking about the receivers, and the receivers are in news again. I mean, we talked to Adam Gase earlier today. We're recording this Thursday night. So the way the Jets do their media access in season is that Adam Gase talks to the media before practice. So he starts practice, or he starts the press conference basically by reading off the injury report. Here's who's not going to practice. Here's who's going to be limited. Here's who's going to be a full participant. And he came out and he said, look, not practicing today, Perrine, not practicing today, Avery Williamson, he's dealing with that hamstring issue and not practicing today. Frank Gore, but don't be worried because this is just going to be a normal off day for Frank Gore because, he's old and they're going to practice him on Wednesday and Friday and give him off Thursdays and everyone else should be fine. Marcus May, he's going to be limited, but they're going to be able to see what he can do. And everyone else is kind of going to be fine. He said Denzel Mims going to practice again. Brashad Perryman's going to practice again. Well, practice begins, practice happens. Obviously the media can't watch practice outside of the first 20 minutes or so. So we end up getting this injury report that comes into my inbox here at 4:33 p.m. And there's a bolded indentation next to Denzel Mims's name. And Denzel Mims, who was supposed to be a full participant in practice, was a limited participant in practice. And the reasoning for this is that his injury designation has changed from hamstring ailment to hamstrings ailment.
They added the S.
Yeah, which would lead one to believe that during practice today, Denzel Mims injured his other hamstring. And we don't know how serious it is. We're not going to be able to talk to Adam Gase until the conference before practice tomorrow. It is going to be earlier. It's an earlier practice on Fridays than in the afternoon. So we will get some information on this a little bit earlier. But I mean, that's a major concern. I mean, for people that don't cover the NFL and don't really understand how the practices things work, is that when you have a player that is supposed to be a full participant and the coach says he's going to be a full participant who then shows up on the injury report as limited, what that means is that player started practice and then got hurt. So by Denzel Mims being a full participant and then showing up on this injury report as limited, what that means is that he got hurt in practice. We don't know how severe it is. We don't know if he left practice for, 15, 20 minutes and then came back and finished the rest of the day. We don't know the specifics of this yet because, again, like I said, Adam Gase talks before practice, not after it. But this is absolutely a little asterisk and a little cause for concern because, look, I mean, we talked to Sam Darnold on Wednesday. We talked to Adam Gase on Wednesday. We talked to Adam Gase again on Thursday. And everyone who has talked has stressed how, as Sam Darnold just said, quote unquote, explosive Denzel Mims is. Today, just before practice, Adam Gase was asked if Denzel Mims could contribute against the Buffalo Bills. And he said, definitely. I mean, that's what he said. He said, definitely this guy can contribute and have a role against the Bills in the opener. Now suddenly hurts his other hamstring. He was limited in practice, so he either didn't finish practice or missed a portion of practice. And we don't know how serious this is. Denzel Mims tweaked his one hamstring and ended up sitting out all of training camp until the last 3 days of practice when he did individual drills. He just now starts doing full practices. Wednesday was the first full practice he took part in, and now he's hurt in practice number 2. So this is a big concern because what it does is it brings to light all of the issues and concerns that we had with this Jets offense 2 weeks ago. And that's does Sam Darnold have enough weapons? And everyone was saying, well, look, Brashad Perryman's healthy again. Denzel Mims is healthy again. They've got Chris Herndon, LaMichael Perrine, Le'Veon Bell, all this stuff. Chris Herndon's been talked about ad nauseum, and Gase just keeps bringing him up unsolicited. Well, now suddenly it's Chris Hogan and Jamison Crowder and Brashad Perryman again. And then Vincent Smith and Jeff Smith, they're both out. The Jets only had really 5 healthy receivers to begin with, but at least all of them were healthy. But now one of them's down again. So this is a big concern. And like you said, it brings to the point again of how the Jets are going to move the ball. I think that what this offense is going to have to do if they want to have a chance against the Bills, who are a better team in just about every facet, is they're going to have to try to find a way to win dirty and win ugly. And what I mean by that is that this isn't going to be a 31-14 victory where the offense is moving up and down the field, at least not the way that I see it. This is going to be one where they're going to have to control the time of possession. They're going to have to find a way to shorten this game. And what that means is winning the time of possession, getting a couple ugly turnovers from Josh Allen, controlling the ball, running the clock out, winning this one 17-14 or 20-13 or 20-16, something like that, 19-16, doesn't matter. But if Mims is out, all this does is if this Mims injury, which we don't know the specifics of yet because we haven't had a chance to talk to Gase, but if this Mims injury is anything like the first hamstring issue, there's going to be the offense, which was, finally feeling healthy and finally being okay. And had Adam Gase saying, he feels great for the first time. Look at this list shrinking. Look at the names that are back. It's going to be another big issue, another big cause for concern.
Certainly is. And we're going to take some questions probably at the end of the episode. But this one popped in and it's really relative to this conversation. Connor, Derek Crossman says, you wrote about the talent around Darnold today. Do you think Sam's ability and play can elevate a below average receiving core, assuming he has protection for the O-line? And that's the big question that we're going to be hoping to hear the answer or find out the answer to all season, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what, people have said that, and that's what you hope, right? I mean, if we talked about this on the last podcast or two podcasts ago, whatever it was. And it was that if the expectations of this Jets roster and the expectations of this Jets team and what this team is capable of doing in 2020, a lot of it rides on the shoulders of Sam Darnold, because if Darnold is the quarterback that he was in 2019, where he flashes some good signs, but for the most part, it's up and down, and he doesn't really take that next step. And he looks good at times, but not great. He looks okay, but not amazing. The Jets are going to have some problems. Where this whole thing changes is that if Sam Darnold takes that next step, and he can be the guy that wills his team to a victory, that he can be the reason that you win football games. You can take Pat Mahomes, who we're going to watch later tonight. You can take Deshaun Watson, who we're going to watch later tonight, and you can put them on literally any other roster, 1 through 32, and those teams instantly become better. Those teams, I don't know if they necessarily become Super Bowl contenders, but they're going to have a chance every single game that they play. And I personally don't feel confident yet in saying that about Sam Darnold. And that's not a shot at Sam Darnold. That doesn't mean that Sam Darnold can't be that player. I'm not saying that in the slightest. I just haven't seen enough to be able to say, yeah, Darnold's that guy, because he hasn't shown it yet. He didn't show it yet as a rookie. He didn't show it yet in his second year. And there's a reason for that. Obviously, the offensive line was atrocious. The play calling was bad at times. They were ridiculously undermanned. And then he had mono, which sidelined him for a month, but also impacted him another month on top of that, because he still had some symptoms, lethargic, fatigue, wasn't exactly 100% still. So you can kind of throw the second year out. But in training camp, the amount of injuries that the Jets had to this offense, I mean, when Sam Darnold's throwing to guys like Jeff Smith and Josh Malone and Jehu Chesson and things like that, and Lawrence Cager and George Campbell, I mean, there's only so much you can see. I mean, there was a play, I remember, he threw a perfect pass in the back of the end zone and goes right in and out of Josh Malone's hand. So that's an incompletion, but it should have been a touchdown. So I can't tell you if Sam Darnold's going to be the player that can elevate those around him, or he's going to be the reason that he can take the Jets from, an okay maybe roster and make them contenders just because he's that good. I haven't seen enough of him to say one way or another. I mean, I can sit here and tell you what I think. I can tell you what I believe it, but it really doesn't matter, because I'm just kind of going off a hunch. It's nothing that I've seen with my own eyes. And you want to have that answer to that question that they're asking within a month, 2 months, end of this season. You have to have it by the end of this season. But right now, I can't answer that, because I honestly don't know. I don't think Sam showed enough this summer, and you can blame, again, the weapons around him and the number of injuries and no OTA, no minicamp. But still, Sam didn't show enough this summer to make me say, yeah, he's that guy. I just didn't see enough yet. Doesn't mean he's not. I just didn't see enough.
You talked about grinding it out and winning this game ugly. If they're going to do that, they got to run the ball successfully. And if this Bills defense has a weakness, at least a year ago in 2019, it was a little bit against the run. They allowed 4.3 yards per carry, over 100 yards per game on the ground. So that was where they kind of could be had beyond that great secondary that they have. So when you think about this game, and we're going to do matchups on both sides of the ball, what's the key matchup for the Jets offensively against this Bills defense?
Well, I think it's kind of the one consistent weapon that they had for the vast majority of training camp. It's the one guy that Adam Gase can't shut up about, and it's the one guy that Sam Darnold offered some praise to when we talked on Wednesday, and it's Chris Herndon, the big tight end. I mean, the way that Gase views this guy is a matchup nightmare for opposing defenses, and what he means by that is that he's going to take Herndon and he's going to line them up all over the field. You're going to see Herndon split wide at receiver. You're going to see Herndon in the slot. It wouldn't surprise me if you see Herndon in the backfield at times at fullback, and you're going to see Herndon at H-back and then his traditional tight end position. And what doing that with Herndon does, and what having a player with Herndon's athleticism and skill set does at the tight end position, is it creates matchup problems, because he's too fast and athletic for a linebacker, for the vast majority of linebackers to cover. He's too big and physical for corners and safeties to cover. So what that means is that you're going to have defenses bracket, or you're going to have them play zone, which is going to open up more cover 2, more cover 3, more quarters, more things like this that are going to try to be designed to take Herndon out. And then when you do that, that's going to lessen the box of teams that are trying to stop the run. It's going to drop guys out of there, and it's going to open up things for Perryman and Crowder and the running game and things like that. So the matchup I'm going to be watching, honestly, on defense, or for the Jets offense against the Bills defense, and it's going to be something that I'm probably going to be watching for the vast majority of this year, is just Chris Herndon. The Jets keep talking about this guy. They keep speaking about it. They keep saying how good he is. I want to see the impact that he has on a game on Sunday, because this will be his first game, really first full game that he plays, assuming he doesn't get hurt, in over a year. I want to see what he does there in that game, and how a defense counters. So it's not, a specific battle. I mean, you can say, Brashad Perryman against Tre'Davious White, or you can say, the Alex Lewis, if he plays, because he's dealing with a shoulder injury, and Greg Van Roten versus Ed Oliver on that offensive line. Like, you can say that, but honestly, I just want to see how the Bills cover Chris Herndon. And then they did an all right job against tight ends last year. I think there were only 2 players, if I'm not mistaken. It's in the game preview we're running Friday morning. There were only 2 tight ends that the Jets faced, or that the Bills faced, that they allowed over 60 yards and 6 catches last season. And one of those guys, or there was only one player who had over 60 yards and 2 guys that only had 6 catches. It was like Evan Ingram and Jason Witten. And they didn't allow any tight end to have 100 yards. They only allowed 5 receiving touchdowns all season to tight ends, and a couple of those were guys that just kind of snuck out into the flat. So the Bills were pretty good at covering tight ends last year. Can Chris Herndon break that? Can Chris Herndon find a way to make a difference? Because I think if Chris Herndon gets going and he kind of has an impact like George Kittle has for the 49ers, like Travis Kelce has for the Chiefs, or like Zach Ertz can have, or Dallas Goedert can have for the Philadelphia Eagles, I think you'll see suddenly the pressure alleviated off of Le'Veon Bell, off of Frank Gore, off of Brashad Perryman, Jamison Crowder, Chris Hogan, Denzel Mims if he plays. So the matchup I'm watching is just Chris Herndon against the Bills defense, and how the Bills are going to try to slow him down. Yeah,
that's going to be fascinating. And hopefully, like you said, Chris Herndon does stay healthy all season, and we can see what a weapon he can be. Let's switch things around to the other side of the ball. And people in Buffalo are super excited for an offense that didn't really – it was okay last year, but they're expecting a lot more this year. Josh Allen, another year more mature and with a big weapon as Stephon Diggs comes over to Buffalo. And that's going to be something that the Jets just have to deal with, is an explosive receiver on this team. Then you have Devin Singletary, who really kind of blew up last year, 775 yards last season, 5.1 yards per carry, splitting time, of course, with Frank Gore, who's now with the Jets. So Singletary's probably going to get more action. Diggs on the outside, Allen, another year of maturity. But Allen's also a guy who can make mistakes. And it seems like, to me, Connor, that Josh Allen is the kind of guy that when Greg Williams is prepping in the room all week, he's kind of got a smile on his face.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating, man, because I think the way that Greg Williams usually approaches young quarterbacks, and Josh Allen is still a young quarterback, is that he's that organized chaos approach, and that Greg Williams is going to put out defensive looks that Josh Allen simply hasn't seen before, and he wants to mentally force them into mistakes. It's not always about coming away with an overload blitz and smacking him down. He wants to confuse the guy so much that Josh Allen thinks he's seeing one thing, he's actually getting another, and that leads to a turnover, interception, things like that. What I think a lot of people outside of Buffalo don't realize is just how impactful, though, Josh Allen is as a runner. I know he's got the cannon for an arm, and everyone talked about that when he was coming out of college. I mean, you saw him at his pro day. You saw him at the combine. The guy can throw the ball a mile, but that cannon for an arm hasn't been his biggest weapon. His biggest weapon has been his legs. I mean, the guy is a really good running quarterback. He's big, he's physical, he's fast, he's athletic. So the one thing that Greg Williams is going to have to be very careful with is that he still has to do or has to use his aggressive, organized chaos defensive approach. He's still going to blitz and give funky looks. He's still going to send guys, left when you think they're coming right, and all these things that Greg Williams does. But the Jets players that are on the field are going to have to be incredibly disciplined, because when you blitz the way that Greg Williams does, when you blitz in any form, a lot of times when players are so hungry to get after the quarterback and get there, lanes open. You'll have a guy that kind of extends a little bit up the field, and that opens up a running lane. And when you're playing a guy like Matt Ryan, or you're playing a guy like Sam Darnold to some extent, or Josh Rosen when he was out there, or Ryan Fitzpatrick sometimes. I mean, those guys won't necessarily have the ability to get through those running lanes or be looking for those running lanes until the defense closes in on him or brings him down. Josh Allen's the quarterback that if the Jets bring him, and those running lanes start opening, he has no problem throwing the ball 10 times on Sunday and running it 30 himself. Like, Josh Allen doesn't give a shit. Like, it's not like he's going to care about, oh, I'm a quarterback, I'm supposed to throw 30 times. No, the dude is competitive as all hell and just wants to win a game. So if that means Josh Allen runs it 20 times and only throws it 15, that's fine. He'll do it and he won't care. So the Jets are going to have to be both incredibly aggressive, but also incredibly disciplined in that they can't open up these running lanes, because if they do, doesn't matter how much they blitz, how much they whatever, Josh Allen's going to get through and make some plays. So it's imperative that, they pressure him. It's imperative that they try to confuse him, but they also need to make sure that he stays in that pocket, because Josh Allen, his career, has only thrown for more than 260 yards once. He has never had a 300-yard passing game. He completed like 52% of his passes as a rookie, 58% of his passes his second year. The Jets need to make Josh Allen beat him with their arm. That means you shut down the runs, Singletary, like you mentioned, Moss, the rookie that they drafted, TJ Yeldon, who I thought was going to be a stud coming out of Alabama. He's kind of fizzled out a little bit. You need to shut those guys down. You need to take away those intermediate throws with Stephon Diggs feasting in the slot or outside or wherever Diggs decides to play. And you need to make Josh Allen beat you with his arm. And if you can keep him in the pocket and then collapse that pocket in on him, I think the Jets defense has a chance to have some success. But if they can't do that, and they, let Singletary and Yeldon and Moss run wild, and suddenly those guys are breaking off big runs left, right, and sideways. And then when they do pressure Josh Allen, they leave these running lanes open. So then Josh Allen's running down the field. Then they start packing the box to shut down the run. And then the play action game comes into play. It's going to be a very, very, very long day for the Jets as a whole, and especially the Jets defense.
Will they use a spy at all, you think?
I think they could. Yeah. I mean, they actually have a good spy option in Blake Cashman with how athletic he is. I mean, he'll be able to chase down whoever runs out there. The guy's ridiculously fast and athletic. And I think that's the possibility, and something that they can do is that they can pressure and blitz and get all funky with the 5 and 6 man rushes. And then they can keep one guy there that sits as the spy, that when Josh Allen gets out and runs, that spy then goes and gets him. And that's actually similar to what the Jets did when they played, I believe it was Josh Allen the second time his rookie year, is that it was the game in Buffalo. I remember it vividly. They were blitzing him and they were rushing him and they were trying to get to Josh Allen and they were trying to screw with him. But anytime Josh Allen tried to run and escape, they had a spy there waiting for him. So they were still pressuring, blitzing, all that stuff. And then they were having the spy to bring Josh Allen down when he tried to escape. Now, the difference between that Bills team and this Bills team is that they didn't have John Brown, Cole Beasley, and Stephon Diggs. So suddenly the Bills have 3 guys. Well, John Brown's more of strictly a deep threat, but they have 2 guys now in Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs, who are incredibly impressive route runners. I mean, they are guys that will beat man-to-man coverage regularly. So if you're keeping that spy in and then you're rushing, all those guys need to get a step on a DB is like a second and a half. I mean, they'll beat guys off the line. So it's going to be a fun cat and mouse game of, can the Jets get to Josh Allen without letting up the run games while also collapsing a pocket? I mean, look, we've said this, the Bills, Brandon Beane, the GM of the Bills, he's done a phenomenal job building this team. I mean, the Bills are a tremendous roster. This isn't a bad team anymore. This isn't like the Buffalo Bills of 10 years ago where you're like, oh, the Jets should be able to beat them because they're not good. This roster has talent at all levels. They've got 3 wide receivers that can all play. They've got a good offensive line. They've got a 3-headed rushing attack, and then they have the quarterback. So it's not going to be easy for the Jets to do this. I think the Bills offense, no matter what the Jets do, is going to have some form of success. I don't think the Jets are just going to shut them down. And it's because they have all of these different areas that they can beat you. Stephon Diggs is a tremendous wide receiver. Cole Beasley, a very good slot guy. They've got talent at the tight end with Swain. They've got John Brown who can take the top off the defense. They've got 3 running backs, and they have a good offensive line. So there's so many things that the Bills do well that it's going to be tough no matter. I mean, I know we're trying to simplify it, but it's going to be tough no matter what for the Jets to come out and simply shut this defense down or shut this offense down, which is why it's probably going to be more about containing everything and just making sure it doesn't get ugly.
And keep them off the field by grinding it out on offense if you can. So when you look at that matchup, what's the key matchup to watch from the Jets' perspective?
For offense?
Jets defense, Bills offense.
Yeah, Jets defense, Bills offense. I think it's going to be the offense or the Jets defensive line versus the Bills offensive line, because I think that we're sitting there saying to ourselves right now, call from Bree. It's getting the call from here, probably telling me to put dinner on. It's like, sorry, can't do that. Let me tell her now. Hold on. I have to tell her because she's gonna immediately call back. She's gonna be like, "You just hung up on me. Why are you not doing this in?" Yeah, this is all going in. This is real life live broadcast because I know I'm getting a call from Bree.
You put it on speaker.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Yeah. Sorry. Hey, you're live, Bree. I am. Yeah. I used to work in radio and I used to have like contest giveaways and stuff. I used to have to practice taking calls. I would text Bree and have her call in. It wouldn't be the first time she's made an appearance on air. But no, I think one of the big matchup defensively that I'm going to be watching is a good one's going to be whoever the Bills put in the slot. I mean, Cole Beasley is their slot receiver. Watching him go against Brian Poole, who's one of the better nickel backs. Stephon Diggs, if he goes in the slot, watching him against Brian Poole, I think that'll be fun. But the big one I kind of want to see is the Quinnen Williams against the interior of the Bills offensive line. And the reason that I say that is that the one thing that this Jets defense doesn't have, and I think they can be okay, and I think they can be good. And right now I'd say that's what their ceiling is. The secondary is all right. Linebacking unit's all right. Defense has depth and is all right. The one thing they don't have on any level anymore with Jamal Adams gone in the secondary, at inside linebacker, outside linebacker, defensive line, is that they don't have like that game-changing difference maker. That player is supposed to be Quinnen Williams, and it should be Quinnen Williams considering the Jets drafted him 3rd overall last year. Like he should be that difference-making, game-changing, game-wrecking player. He talked a hell of a game this offseason about how he remade his body and how he's stronger and he's more physical and he's ready to be the player the Jets drafted him to be. We just didn't see it in training camp. I mean, he had 1 sack on Sam Darnold that I remember and 2 tackles for a loss. I mean, there were a couple flash plays, but nothing consistent to be like, this guy is just destroying the Jets offense in camp. If you watched Hard Knocks, what Aaron Donald did in that scrimmage the Rams had, Quinnen Williams didn't do any of that. And at any point did he do any of that. He flashed a little bit, but he didn't do anything consistently to be like, that guy's in for a huge year. I want to know if that's just practice, if that's just what Quinnen Williams is doing in practice, and then he's going to turn it on game days, and he's going to be a huge difference maker on game days and seeing a different scheme, and he's seeing a different offense. He's going to be able to get to Josh Allen. I want to see that from Quinnen Williams. I want to see Quinnen Williams go up against this interior of the Bills' offensive line and wreck a game. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about scheming, blah, 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 getting all this stuff. If Quinnen Williams has a J.J. Watt, Aaron Donald type game, well, suddenly everything gets easier for the Jets because they just can't stop him coming up the A gap and B gap. Like, he'll just be throwing guys aside and getting to Josh Allen and bringing him down and disrupting plays right off the bat. I can't think that Quinnen Williams is just going to do that because I haven't seen it in training camp to be able to say, okay, this is what's going to carry over to the regular season. But it also doesn't mean that it's not going to happen in the regular season just because you didn't see it in training camp. So that matchup that I want to see, man, is the one that I think is going to be the juiciest. And it's Quinnen Williams, year 2, talking a huge game, ready to break out and quote, be the player that Jets drafted him to be, unquote, make a difference, change a game, wreck a game, be the playmaker, be the difference maker. I want to see if he can do that in a game where the Jets are going to need him.
Yeah, he's talked the talk. Let's see him walk the walk. We'll see if he can do it. Well, football season is here starting tonight, and fantasy football season upon us as well. And due to quarantine, it's very possible that you might have Zeke's haircut in your pants. That's why our partners at Manscaped have partnered with us to make sure you don't gamble on shaving the same way you like to gamble on football. When it comes to men's hygiene, Manscaped is as good and safe as Christian McCaffrey in a PPR league. The Lawnmower 3.0 is the best hygiene tool for the modern man. Because of their ceramic blade and skin-safe technology, your nicks and snags will be reduced. The Lawnmower 3.0 is also waterproof and has an LED light on it. That's a game changer. They just released their Shears 2.0 nail kit, which is the perfect add-on to their Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer. The Perfect Package 3.0 comes with the new and improved Lawnmower Performance Boxer Briefs and a travel bag for you. When the quarantining is all done with, you can use that as well. The Crop Preserver comes with that. It's an anti-chafing deodorant, and the Crop Reviver is a spray-on toner that is made with soothing aloe with witch hazel extracts. For a limited time, subscribers get not one, but 2 free gifts. The Shed Travel Bag, that's a $39 value add-on, and the patented high-performance anti-chafing Manscaped Boxer Briefs. Get 20% off plus free shipping if you use the code THEATHLETIC20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code THEATHLETIC20. That's THEATHLETIC20. It's time to boost your hygiene with the absolute besties with Manscaped. All right, let's move things more big picture from Jets Bills to Jets versus the rest of this division. And we've covered the Bills, who are the favorites, and reading the Athletic NFL preview today that took all the writers, including you, Connor, into account and voted on who's going to win different divisions and all kinds of stuff. It's a good kind of overall look at the NFL season. So check that out on the Athletic. But as far as the AFC East goes, 26 votes for the Buffalo Bills, 19 for the New England Patriots, and 1 for the Miami Dolphins. There's always one in this division. Last year,
somebody voted the Dolphins to win the division.
Yeah. So last year, I believe it was
that person.
Right. Last year it was 45 votes for the Patriots and 1 for the Bills. This year, 1 for the Dolphins, none for the Jets. Connor, you didn't vote for the Jets?
I don't think Brian Flores is picking the Dolphins to win the division. Who the hell picked the? That's amazing. Yeah, no, I don't. It's winning this division.
This is one of those votes where you can vote for anything because they don't tell you who voted for what. But anyway, moving on to those teams.
Good thing.
Let's start with the Patriots. The big story is
probably
who's
Bo
not there,
Wolf.
right?
I bet you it was Bo Wolf. Oh, by the way,
if anyone doesn't know, there's some trash talking among my podcast, Connor and Bo on the Eagles side.
We need like a little drum there, like little rim shot. Anyway,
I got the text from Bree, by the way. It was not about this is actually fitting. I don't think, Marissa, you haven't done the DraftKings read yet, have you?
No. Have you been not paying attention?
Well, I was reading this text, but I was also reading the chat because
this is
we
my
also
life
have
with Connor.
we have we have several requests going on in the chat here. But no, I looked over and Bree texted me, so I was like, I gotta let her know, like, if she's doing this really nice. Oh, you want to do the Bree food power rankings? She's making this
Sunday
basil shrimp dish, which I'll tweet that out. I'll tweet that out. It's gonna be banging. But she texted me.
But you are going to Buffalo this weekend.
I am, but there's not gonna be food in the press box, I don't think. So
you better pack your lunch.
Yeah, well, I'm going out to what the hell is the place called? I'm going out to like Buffalo Bills something or Bills Buffalo Bills. No, yeah. I have a great story. All right, you just reminded me. All right, that's going to be a real quick one before we go totally off the rails because this is an amazing story. But no, the reason that Bree texted me was that she's very concerned. She's doing this DraftKings promo, the DraftKings promo where you get plus 101 odds on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Because they're not going to lose by 100 points. Yep.
Correct. So she's very concerned that because she placed it in PA, she wants to know if it'll be eligible in Jersey. And so that's what she was calling me about.
Good question.
But no, she's becoming a little gambler. I'm worried she's going to start like a side gig here as a bookie. Because although I've had to
gambler by night.
Yeah. Well, I've had to explain to her the how gambling works. That it's like, I was like, all right. So because she thought at plus 101, she's like, wait. So if the Chiefs win, I lose the bet. I was like, no. If the Chiefs win, you don't lose the bet. We lost Tim. Tim's gone.
Yeah, he froze. Yeah, he was frozen, smiled like this.
That's better. I want to have that screenshot. Oh, he's back. Tim's back. But no, what we had was she thought that it was. I was like, no. Like plus 101 means that you win the bet if the Chiefs win the game or they lose by less than 102 points. And she's like, why would they do that? I was like, it's a promo. I was like, they know they're giving you a free $50 that you're just going to end up flushing back into them. I was like, it's the promo. That's why they're doing it. I was like, but she was just concerned that she was going to get it through. Real quick, before we get back to all this sports talk and stuff, the most amazing Buffalo story ever. All right. So this is like 2 years ago.
I thought I missed the Buffalo story when I
No. I kept rambling a bit until you could get back on here. This was just, it's blew my mind. I still talk about a buddy of mine. So one of my closest friends on the beat is Andy Vasquez, who covers the Jets for the record. On the road, we always hang out together. We go out to bars together. We'll go play golf together. Like we go to baseball games. Like we're always hanging out. So one of the things that we always do when we go to Buffalo is we go to get wings. Like usually one time we go to Duff's, the next time we go to Anchor Bar, and like that's what we do. So this particular trip, we had gone out to dinner with Kimberly Martin, who used to be on the Jets beat. At this time was the Buffalo columnist. And we had seen her for dinner. And then we were getting in a car to go then to get wings and meet up with like Daryl Slater, another one of our friends, Dan Popper, who now writes for us for the Chargers. Sure. So we get in this Uber, and they're taking us to this like wing place. I think it's Anchor Bar. And the Uber starts talking to us. Guy is like clearly off his rocker, like he's talking about how he was like, he's strapping, like he's carrying a gun. And, one time he like someone like a homeless guy came up to him. So he had to shoot him. And I was like, Andy and I are like basically holding hands in the back seat. Like, please don't kill us. Like, please keep us alive. So he's going on and on, like all these crazy, crazy wild stories. So as we're in the car, he goes, oh, so where am I taking you guys? Andy's basically like, don't tell him a damn thing. I'm like, we're going to get wings. Like I just immediately blurted out. I'm scared. So
that
like,
doesn't really narrow it down in Buffalo.
Yeah. So he goes, I have a great wing spot for you. He goes, they're actually the place that created wings. And so Andy and I are like, oh, like Duff's? And he goes, no, it's not Duff's. I was like, oh, Anchor Bar? He goes, no, it's not Anchor Bar. I was like, oh, wow, this guy, local Buffalonian or whatever you call him. And I was like, oh, he must like know a good, like hole in the wall local spot. And I was like, Andy, like, let's write maybe this trip. Look, we're going to come out of this alive and we're going to get a great wing spot. So maybe this wasn't so bad after all. We just had to put up with some psychoticness for a while. So he goes, yeah, it's so good. He goes, it's one of my favorite restaurants to go to. They created buffalo wings. So we're like, wait, we're like, all right, dude, where is it? Dead serious. Stops at the stoplight, turns around, looked at us. Not joking. He goes, it's called Buffalo Wild Wings. Andy and I look at each other like, now we're off the rocker. We're like, Buffalo, like Wings Beer Sports. He goes, yeah, Buffalo Wild Wings. They created buffalo wings. They're so good. You got like 100 different sauces. They got one right around the corner if you guys want me to drop you off there. We're like, we're good. Actually, we'll get out here. And then we're going to walk we're going to walk the final 7 miles to get where we're going. We're good, man. Amazing. Buffalo Wild Wings, the creator of the original creator, going to Buffalo to have Buffalo Wild Wings.
By the way, I looked it up.
One here in Princeton.
I looked it up, and Buffalonians is proper.
Wow.
That is what you call somebody from Buffalo.
I thought Connor was totally making that up. I was like, okay.
No.
I guess I probably heard it once and just stuck. Oh, somebody here in the Derek Crossman says Gabriel's Gate. I did go there last year. It's very good. Better than their wings, by the way, or their French onion soup. That was awesome. Yeah.
Buffalo,
next podcast when the Jets play the Bills again in I forget it's off the top of my head. I can't remember off the top of my head the schedule. When they play each other again, I'll tell you guys about the time that I almost got detained at the border between the United States and Canada. That was a good one too. I almost got detained.
I don't even know if I want to know.
It was great. Just totally like typical like meanness. It was like, again, I was also with Andy. I almost got detained at the border, and it was real great. All because I was like, I fold under pressure, and that's exactly what happened there. And almost got detained. Yeah.
I have a good border story also from my Syracuse days. So we can save that one for the future. All right. So back to football. I think we should get back to football.
Yes.
Let's at least mention these other two teams in the division. Patriots, obviously, it's about who's not there. All these guys that opted out. Dante Hightower opted out. Collins is gone. Kyle Van Noy is gone. Patrick Chung opted out. Marcus Cannon opted out. I mean, the list goes on. And of course, there's that other guy named Brady who is gone. But Cam Newton is there, and Cam Newton survived training camp and is still healthy. Not only is he the starting quarterback, he's been named a captain by this team, which is a little surprising for me. They're not the majority choice to win the division in 2020, but do you think they can, Connor? Do you think that this somehow, just the mystique of the Patriots is going to make them a good team again in 2020?
Well, their defense is usually good, man. I mean, they still got
Last year
Stephon
was
Gilmore.
Historically good, yeah.
Yeah, and they haven't lost too much. Bill Belichick, I think one of the reasons why they were so good, because Bill Belichick kind of took back over the defensive play calling, which I think if he had done that, they would have had another 2 Super Bowls under their belt.
You're saying Matt Patricia wasn't the answer?
I mean, how that dude got a head coaching job after he let up like 50 points in the Super Bowl to Nick freaking Foles was like just I remember watching that and being like, they're just running RPO every damn play, and Matt Patricia's like, "What the hell is this?" Like, by the way, dude, the Eagles did that against I covered that whole Super Bowl run because I was at the Ledger still. They did that against the Falcons. They did that against the Vikings. Like, you'd think they'd piece it together, but no. And then the Lions.
Yeah,
that's my guy. That's my guy.
That's what we wanted to see.
Hey, a lot of people are high on the Lions this year.
Yeah.
Sure,
but you know what? Most of those people will say this, though. I've heard it many times. The Lions, a lot of talent on that team, really looked equipped to be good this year. But Matt Patricia's still the head coach. You always get that but at the end of any choice to go with the Lions this year. All right, what do you think of the Patriots, though?
I think they got a chance, man, because I think that defense is still good. And if Cam Newton is healthy, like, that's the big thing. It's like Cam Newton's got to be healthy. And if he's healthy, which we don't know if he is because there's been no preseason games, we haven't seen Cam Newton in action. We don't know, like, if he's still healthy and all that stuff. So if he is healthy and he's the Cam Newton that he was in his prime with Carolina and he's taken over, I mean, I think that team can be successful. You know, Josh McDaniels is a hell of an offensive coordinator. I mean, he really is. He is a hell of an offensive coordinator. He's a hell of a play caller. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten another head coaching job or head coaching gig yet. The defense is great. I don't think that this is going to be the Patriots that everyone is used to seeing, where it's like, oh, they can drop 30, 40, 50 points at kind of just like they turn their, oh, look at that, there's 40 points on the scoreboard. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think they're going to be run heavy, run centric. Cam Newton's going to, if he's healthy again, they're going to ask him to be the athletic specimen that he is. I mean, you look at that dude. Every time I see him, I can't believe that guy plays quarterback. They're going to do all that on offense and then have one of the league's best defenses. I think that they can get themselves to 10, 11 wins. And then if the Bills fall apart, Josh Allen doesn't take that next step. You know, we keep talking about Sam Darnold becoming that franchise quarterback in year 3. If Josh Allen regresses, and that happens, Mitch Trubisky regressed from his second season. If Josh Allen regresses, that's when that Bills team might only win 7, 8, 9 games. And if the Patriots can get to 10 or 11, I think they're gonna win that division. I mean, they absolutely have a shot. I think they can make the playoffs as a wild card team at the minimum. I don't know if they're going to be the 13, 14 win team that we've kind of been accustomed to seeing the Patriots be for the better part of the last 2 decades. But I think it can absolutely get to 9, 10, 11 wins. And if that happens and the Bills falter and Josh Allen takes a step back or someone gets hurt on that Bills team, that's when suddenly it opens the door. And look, man, we talked about this months ago. I would never rule out Bill Belichick ever. Until the Patriots have a 6-10, 5-11 season, they're always going to be a contender in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing that concerns me, and you said it's got to be the defense if they're going to be good this year, but you think about that offense, and Julian Edelman has been so good in the slot with Tom Brady, and it's always been like that connection those two guys had. If Cam and Edelman don't have that connection, there's really not much else when you look at that offense as far as weapons go, and Cam's going to have to really carry the load as far as getting that team down the field.
And that I don't know if he can do. Right. I don't know because it's one thing if he's healthy, and it's another thing for him to stay healthy. That's 2 big question marks with him under center.
So the Dolphins, one person within the Athletic family thinks they're going to win the division, but overall, I think people think that the Dolphins will be better. And I think what this season we're going to find out, right, is what's the timetable for the Dolphins versus the Jets' rebuild? Are the Dolphins suddenly ahead of the Jets, or are the Jets still on track to be ahead of the Dolphins after 2 years ago, the Dolphins were so bad. But then the other thing with the Dolphins, right, is does Tua play this year, or do they stick with Fitz and let Tua just get that full year under his belt? I feel like unless Fitz gets hurt, I think they won't play Tua. I think that seeing what the Chiefs did, Patrick Mahomes sitting that entire year and then what he became, I think that's kind of like a blueprint and an excuse really for the Dolphins to let their fans know that, hey, we don't have to play this guy yet unless Fitzpatrick gets hurt. We'll see. What do you think?
Well, that's the difference. Well, I think there's a difference though between Tua and Mahomes, and that was that Mahomes was not ready. Like
Right,
Mahomes wasn't. Like he was the epitome of a developmental project. I mean, that's why I give the Jets some slack on passing on Mahomes, because Mahomes was as much of a developmental project as Hackenberg was, and then Hackenberg got scorned. So it was like, oh, do they really want to take another one? It was the same thing when the drafting Josh Allen subject came up. Was that I don't know if the Jets are going to take Josh Allen, because again, McCagnon already got scorned once in the developmental project. Does he really want to take that? Or does he want the more sure thing? Tua was supposed to be more of a sure thing. Tua was supposed to be kind of ready. Like he was the Alabama product that was playing against NFL caliber defenses in the SEC not NFL caliber defenses, but NFL players in the SEC, NFL defensive players in the SEC. He was supposed to be ready. And again, this goes to the pandemic. And I know it's going to be very difficult for a rookie quarterback to pick up and just play right away when he doesn't have the luxury of OTAs and he doesn't have the luxury of mini camp. And there's so much missed time that's really a detriment to them. I mean, we were talking about with Denzel Mims. Imagine it with a rookie quarterback. We also didn't have the luxury of the preseason to see what Tua is doing. You know what I mean? A lot of times you see like the rookie quarterbacks come in, you see them in the preseason, and that kind of lets you know like these guys are ready to play. The fact that they just handed the job to Fitz and they're like, Fitz is our starting quarterback, it kind of makes you say, like, I don't know what Tua is looking like in camp, that it was just like, Fitz is our guy. You know, I mean, if anyone watched Hard Knocks, you can kind of tell the same thing with Justin Herbert. Like, you can see from watching that show, Herbert's not ready. Like, he's not ready. I get the indication that with them so apt to say, like, Fitz is our guy, that maybe Tua really isn't ready. But as far as him playing, I think eventually he's going to get it. I don't think he will have an entire redshirt season. I mean, this is the Ryan Fitzpatrick cycle. He gets the starting job. He's going to play like crap. He's going to get benched. Tua's going to get hurt. And then Fitz is going to come back in and throw for like 900 yards and 25 touchdowns in 3 games. Like, that's just the way that Ryan Fitzpatrick's career works. Tua will be the starting quarterback next year. Ryan Fitzpatrick will end up somewhere else as a starter. And that's when the Fitzpatrick cycle starts all over again. It's just what's going to happen. But I think the Jets are ahead of the Dolphins. I think there is a gap between where the Dolphins are and where the Jets are. I think the Jets have a better offensive line. I think obviously they know they're going to have more of a concrete evaluation of what they have in Sam Darnold compared to what the Dolphins do or don't know what they have in Tua. So I don't think there's a comparison there. I mean, what I do see the potential for, though, if Tua pans out, if Sam Darnold continues to pan out, if Josh Allen pans out, and if the Patriots eventually get their future quarterback in this coming year's draft, you could have a division that went from so top heavy, where the Patriots basically won the AFC East every single year for the last 2 decades, where it could shift a little bit to being similar to what the NFC South was, where it seemed like every single year somebody else won that division. You know, it was the Falcons, then it was the Bucks, then it was the Saints, then it was the Falcons again, then it was the Panthers, and then it was and it just kind of constantly rotates, where all 4 of those teams are good. I think that's where you could see the AFC East getting to, if these quarterbacks pan out the way their teams believe, is that it's not going to be a one team dominating thing. Is that in 2 years, once the Joe Douglas has kind of finalized his vision for the Jets and gets them to the point where they're ready, and then he's just kind of keeping the influx of talent coming through. So when one player goes in free agency, the next guy's ready to replace him. You could have a situation where all 4 of these teams take turns at the top, and you could have a situation similar to the NFC East in a way, where you have 3 teams from the same division routinely making the playoffs. And I think that would be, as someone who covers this division, who has no skin in the game, like I'm not a Jets fan, I'm not a Dolphins fan, I'm not a Patriots or Bills fan, it would just be fun to cover that, where every single divisional game is a bloodbath. Every single divisional game is you have no idea who's going to win, and everyone's trying to fight and everyone's trying to get it. I think that's where you could see this division eventually getting to. Right now, we've talked about this, Tim. I think it's Bills are number 1, Patriots are number 2, Jets number 3, Dolphins number 4, with the chance, obviously, if Josh Allen doesn't develop, for that 1 and 2 to flip. But in 2 years, I could absolutely see this as just roll the dice and throw it out there, or throw a dart at the board, and that's the team that could win the AFC East that year.
All right, well, kickoff between the Texans and the Chiefs is in less than 15 minutes, so we're going to speed this up. And tonight is just a warm-up. Now it is the time to get ready for Sunday's full slate of action, and there is no better place to get in the game than with DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. To add to this week's excitement, DraftKings Sportsbook is rolling out a can't-miss offer. If you haven't tried DraftKings Sportsbook yet, head over to the App Store now because you don't want to miss this. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving all new users the chance to turn $1 into $100 when they bet on any team. That's right. You can place a $1 bet on any team, and if that team wins, you cash a cool Benjamin. How could you pass up on that? If you're new to DraftKings Sportsbook, head over to the app now to scout their latest offers. Bet with DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, and that goes to wherever you go. DraftKings is safe, reliable, and secure. Make it easy for you to deposit, withdraw your money at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code TOSS when you sign up to get this can't-miss offer. Pick any team during week 1, bet $1 on them, and win $100 if they win. That's $1 to win $100 when you use the promo code TOSS during sign-up for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey only, in partnership with Meadows Racetrack Casino. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And with that, we transition to our picks, which, you know what, I didn't do the research and go back and see. I think, though, Connor, down the stretch in 2019, pulled out the victory. Is that right? I think it was Mercer and Connor really close, and you pulled it out and saved face since you are an NFL beat writer.
It doesn't matter how close. This ain't horseshoes. I won. I got the crown, and I think my trophy and my crown are coming. I am just going to wear every Thursday or Friday when we record this podcast. I'm going to have the crown on my head that says "Can't wait pick."
Next time I go to Burger King, I'm going to pick up that.
There you go. I would wear one of them.
So one change for the picks this year. Last year, we did 3 games plus the Jets game every week, and all 3 of us were terrible picking the Jets game. So this year, we're eliminating that part of this. It's just the games we want to pick. So each of us picks any 3 games off the NFL slide. It can be the Jets if we like it, although none of us went with that game this week. And we will keep track throughout the season and see who wins, and maybe we'll come out with some sort of real award at the end this year. So Connor, you're up first.
Yeah, so this is tough. I mean, I think this whole thing is going to be ridiculously tough for these first couple of weeks because you have nothing to go off of. No preseason film. We haven't seen these guys. You can't flip on NFL Network and be like, oh, look at this first drive from, this team's offense and how good this player is. Like, you don't really know. It's you literally shoot. It's just guessing. It's needle in the haystack at this point. But there were a couple games that I like. I mean, the first one, honestly, that I like this week is the Chiefs. I like the Chiefs minus 9.5. I think that early in this season, when teams don't have OTAs, when teams don't have mini camps, when they had a condensed training camp, continuity is going to be so key. And the Chiefs are pretty much bringing back their entire team that won a Super Bowl. I think they're going to be fired up to be back on the field. I know there's only going to be so many fans in the stands there in Kansas City, but I think they're going to be that one's going to be big. I wish this line was more like 7.5. I wish this line was more like 8.5. I don't necessarily love 9.5 because that opens you up to the Texans kicking some field goal with 40 seconds left to make it a 7-point game and then trying to get the onside and throwing a Hail Mary. I mean, that brings that all up in the air. But I do like the Chiefs. I mean, looking at some of these other spreads and these other lines, I think the Chiefs are definitely my first play at minus 9.5. Other thing is that I love a home dog all the time. Love home dogs. The Washington football team always seems to play the Philadelphia Eagles tough. I think Dwayne Haskins showed some strides towards the end of last season. I think Ron Rivera is going to have that team playing some tough football. I don't know if it's always going to be good, but it's at least going to be tough. And given 5.5 at home, I think that game's going to be a little bit closer. I think the Eagles end up winning, but 24-21, 20-16, something like that, I think is a possibility for a score. So give me Washington plus 5.5. The other one is the Vikings minus 2.5 against the Green Bay Packers. I like the Vikings at home. I like the Vikings as a football team this year. Love Dalvin Cook. I think Kirk Cousins is good. That receiving unit, I like as well, adding Jefferson to replace Diggs. I like that defense. I think that the Vikings are going to be a good team. I also think the Packers are going to be bad this year because I don't think they did enough to give Aaron Rodgers enough. So give me the Chiefs minus 9.5, Washington plus 5.5 with that home dog, and then the Vikings minus 2.5.
I had my fantasy draft last night, and it's eye-opening. Aaron Rodgers this year in fantasy drafts. I've heard him going undrafted in some leagues. I actually got him as my backup quarterback in like the 13th round, and was like, how is that possible that Aaron Rodgers is my throwaway backup quarterback that I got that late?
Yeah, right.
But, we'll see. All right, I'll go through mine real quick. Seahawks -2 at Atlanta. Jamal Adams in Seattle. We'll go with it. It's a tough, long flight, obviously, from Seattle to Atlanta, but I think they get it done. Titans -1.5 at Denver with the Von Miller injury. I think Derrick Henry can wear it down on the Denver defense, even in the thin air. They get the win there. And then, Connor, you mentioned loving the home underdog. I'll take one as well. The Rams +3 against the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are probably a better team over the long haul this season than the Rams, but I think at home, the Rams can either keep it tight or pull out a win late in week 1. Marissa.
So I'm realizing that I have a lot of the same picks as you guys. I have Titans -1.5 with you, Tim. Vikings -2.5 for you, Connor. And then my one difference is yes. And I like this. I actually think I'm just going to pick the opposite picks of Connor every week and see how I go from there. Because
you'll be 9-0 by week 3.
Exactly. I have the Eagles -5.5 versus Washington. So, I think with everything that's gone on in Washington this offseason, I think the Eagles got that one.
Yeah. Right, you're high on the Titans, by the way. I know you texted me that before. Like, you like Tennessee this year.
No, I can't decide if I like Tennessee this year. Okay, here's their thing. Here, the game is starting soon, so we need to go. But here's the thing. The depth behind Ryan Tannehill is not good. Not good. So if he goes out, I think they have Logan Woodside as their backup quarterback, and then they have Trevor Siemian on the practice squad. Those are their quarterbacks behind Ryan Tannehill. So,
and Tannehill's
the COVID concern this year, if the quarterback goes out, that might be important. So that's
Tannehill goes out anyway. He doesn't need a pandemic. Like, he just goes out. Like, that dude just gets hurt, man. So that's a good point.
I mentioned my fantasy draft yesterday. So first round, I had the 3rd pick, and I'm sitting there, and the little clock goes red, and it's just staying at 0. So I'm like, I was doing stuff, so I wasn't communicating with everybody. Yeah. So I say, hey, are we ever going to start this draft? Like, after a few minutes, and they're like, we're on the 9th pick. I was like, what do you mean we're on the 9th pick? Computer freeze. So then I'm like, okay, who did I get with the 3rd pick? I got Derrick Henry with the 3rd pick.
Well, I don't.
It's okay. It's fine. Yeah. But Zeke, I would have taken Zeke, I think. We'll see. It'll probably turn out to be Derrick Henry leads the NFL, and I'm in rushing, and I'm
That's
just
amazing.
Better off not making picks myself. But yeah, so I joined 8 picks into the draft, and everybody laughed. Anyway, is there one question, Marissa, from the chat that we can throw at Connor here before we say goodbye?
There was some good stuff. This was a good one, I think. Kyle asked, how big is getting Desir back into the lineup to help the Jets in the cornerback room?
Huge. And I think it's huge because they don't have, like, their number 3, number 4 corners aren't good. Like, if you had to start Arthur Morlett or you had to start Harrison or something like that, the Jets are going to be in trouble. So Desir isn't Darrelle Revis. He's not Jalen Ramsey, but he's a competent, starting, solid NFL corner. When you pair him with Bless Austin and then a really good nickel corner in Brian Poole, if May's healthy, Ashton Davis, Bradley McDougall, and then Greg Williams being the defensive mastermind, you can have some success with that. So having him back, having him healthy, it kind of solidifies the Jets' top 3 corners. The problem is going to be is that if Austin, Poole, or Desir goes down, then you're not really going to have anything behind them because the Jets' depth at corner is not good.
All right, that's going to do it. Kickoff in about 5 minutes. Thursday night football. Jets coming up against the Bills on Sunday. That one's 1:00 Eastern time from Buffalo. We'll have all the reaction, of course, coming up early next week of this game. And then we're going to be coming throughout the season twice a week. So the cadence back to regular season form here on the Can't Wait podcast every Monday, basically, and then Thursday or Friday, depending on Connor's golf schedule, I guess, early in the season. We'll see how that goes. If you want to, if you have a friend or you want to save on an athletic subscription, if you don't have one already, go to theathletic.com/the Can't Wait podcast. You can join now for $1 a month. That's a new deal going right now at The Athletic. $1 per month at theathletic.com/the Can't Wait podcast. Follow Connor on Twitter at Connor_J_Hughes. I'm at Tim M. McMaster, and Marissa's at Marissa_Morris. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the game tonight. And of course, on Sunday, we'll wrap it up on Monday.